Councilwoman Candida Affa talking to us about the Disruptive Conduct Report.
I was always surprised to know that most people don't know what it is. And I think this podcast is going to be very important for people to understand that disruptive conduct is anything that disturbs your quality of life. Now this report, it's not a ticket, but it is a report. It applies to tenants. If you're a homeowner, this would be a different situation. This applies to tenants only. If there are tenants in your neighborhood that are being disruptive, you call the police department. What you do is you call and ask for a DCR. Loud music, dogs barking, fighting, arguing, things that are disrupting your quality of life. This legislation I believe, is one of the best tools that our citizens can have.
And the officer comes to the scene and hears loud thumping bass playing or people screaming and yelling, carrying on. Maybe they're throwing a party that is creating a disturbance for you, because our society is 24/7 now. But people do work third shift, second shift, day shift. But when people are sleeping, and something disturbs their sleep, that's something where they can call into the police department or to our communication center and file and ask for a disruptive conduct report. And so then in that route, ladies and gentlemen, the officer would get dispatched by the comm center, and they would receive an address to go to. And typically when the officer goes onto the scene, they'll park their vehicle, get out. A lot of times you can hear the loud music or the complaint that's being talked about, and you go up to the location in question. And the officer does a couple of things. Even though you request a DCR, it has to be verified. So if we're seeing it happen, we're hearing it happen, obviously we're going to have a conversation with the tenant, with the person that's there. We're going to get their information. We're going to make a report. And if it's a location where we're receiving a lot of complaints, they will receive a disruptive conduct report note on the report, and potentially a sweep ticket where you can get a citation or a fine that you'll have to pay. Now, understand that we want Allentown to be a vibrant and beautiful city, but part of that is talking about quality of life issues. And I think Councilwoman Affa, you had said about the quality of life. And can you speak to how residents can be confident in the fact that when they report something, say something, that it will be followed up on? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, the reason for this legislation, and actually the landlords were very big on promoting this, because as you know, it's not easy to get a tenant out of a piece of property, and they would have a terrible time. So with this, the Disruptive Conduct Report, like I said, it's a report, and if you get 3 in a year, the landlord is required to go to the magistrate and have you removed. So this is like I said before, I think it's the best tool we have to help the quality of life of all taxpayers, all residents, people that want to live in peace and quiet. And we are fortunate. We are the only city that I know of in the Lehigh Valley. I know Bethlehem doesn't have it. I don't believe Easton has it. And I've spoken to people from different cities, and they're like, wow, we would love to have that. Because it's, like I said, I would like to educate you on it, because it's such an important tool to help yourself and your neighborhood to have a better quality of life.
Absolutely correct. And I think one of the things with that is that, folks, I know that there's a lot of people out there that rent, some own their homes, and one of the things that we said before is that this is subject to the tenants that reside in different residences. If you own your home, you can still be subject to sweep ticket and state violation, so there is consequences for the actions. But we want to make sure that folks, that when we're coming to you, sometimes you're going to receive a warning. Sometimes we're going to say, hey, listen, you might be new to the area, you might not know, we'll educate you on that, because part of the process is that education system. And as Councilwoman Affa said, it's important that this tool that we have there, we know how to use. So one of the things I want to ask you, Councilwoman Affa, is should people just post on social media that their neighbor is very disturbing? What's the process that they should do to contact the police?
Well, one of the best things is our checkmate cards. That is something that I pass out at times when I have community meetings or whatever. You fill this card out, you send it in, and the chief of police signs it, and the mayor signs it, and they assign you a number, and that's your number for life. And when you call the police, you don't have to say anything. You tell them your number, but the main thing is to request a DCR. When you call, make sure that you say, I'm requesting a DCR, and the police will respond, and your name is never used, just the address of where the complaint is. And I think this is something that all tenants should have. Not all tenants, all citizens should have. For whatever reason, it's a checkmate card, and I advise everybody, get it right here at City Hall. And once you have it, you have a number. And like I said, but he touched on homeowners. The DCR does not apply to homeowners. That is a whole other thing.
That is correct.
They can get tickets and warrant, whatever. But this Disruptive Conduct Report is something that after 3 of them, you're going to be removed from your residence.
And what a great point about the checkmate card. Oftentimes people are concerned about retaliation or scared about a neighbor that is possibly aggressive towards them. And I want to make it clear that within the city of Allentown, you have an absolute right to reach out to us, and we're going to investigate properly. And with that checkmate card, it's a simple card where you fill out your information. You can get that from our community outreach unit. So if you are interested, please reach out to our community outreach unit at allentownpa.gov, and then that way they can assist you with connecting. And we have a very forward and progressive team that will get that information to you. You fill that out, we'll review it, I'll sign off on it, the mayor will sign off of it, and then you get a card back, and that's the card that when you do call our communications center, you provide that number. This is checkmate number 123, and I have I want to report a noise complaint at 123 Front Street because this is what I'm experiencing. And what will happen is the call taker will take that information, they'll create a dispatch that'll be sent to the officer that's in the area, and they'll go forward and go to that scene. And again, like Councilwoman Affa said, if you request a DCR, the officer will respond, assess that situation. If they are in violation, they'll absolutely get a DCR, sweep ticket, possibly citation. And it's all in that process of getting that information out. It goes back to the adage that I talk about a lot here, and it's about if you see something, say something. And with that checkmate card, it provides a protection as far as anonymity and reporting things. The other item that we have, but I would ask, and this is very clear and something that I want to stress, is that if the activity is happening, please reach out to our comm center. It's okay if you're posting something on social media or neighbors or anything of that situation, but we are call driven, right? And so we don't monitor Facebook 24/7, but we do have a communications center where we do receive calls. So it's absolutely vital and important that when you're considering, should I post this right away or should I maybe call the police? I would recommend calling the police so that we can take that activity, that action. And if we do receive those complaints, it's also something where it'll be a zero tolerance approach to individuals that are violating the law. We can educate people, we'll work with individuals, but once you get a warning and then afterwards, you're going to get that sweep ticket, that citation, that DCR report potentially, and then that could affect you possibly being evicted from your residence through a magistrate. And a part of the other thing that I want to talk about is if it's a problem location where where the police arrive and all of a sudden the volume gets turned down, but then as soon as the police leave, they turn it up again. These are things that we want to know, folks, because when the officer arrives, think about it. When they arrive and they don't hear anything, it's not going to meet the criteria or the threshold to issue a citation or a violation. But one of the things we can do is we can talk about recording of that activity. If you record the video, that type of information, and send it to our community outreach unit, they can take a look and potentially file for a DCR based upon that recording. But understand that recording is evidence. So we would have to talk to you about potentially testifying if the person charged is going to contest that. So that's a potential thing. But the other way that you can do it is we also have tip 411. And with tip 411, you can go on your computer, you can type in what the complaint is, and you can attach media to that. And that will help us identify locations through the city, independent of the complaints that come in from other ways. that this is a problem location. We're back here 2-3 times. That location should not be disturbing your peace. So we're taking those steps to do that. And I want to kind of talk about why, in closing, why the DCR process is important to our city, Councilwoman Affa.
To keep the peace and quiet and quality of life for our residents. I just wanted to point something else also. The police do explain to the people when they go to give them the DCR, they explain it's not a ticket. They go and I let them know that if they get 3 in a year, and that's not from, it's not year to year, it's within that year. We have just passed legislation that now if you can get it within 24 hours. We found that police would come and knock down the loud noise of the party at 9 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock the same day, 11 o'clock, they're called back again. And they couldn't give a second DCR. Now, we passed legislation that you can get a second DCR. So you can actually get 3 DCRs in one day. And that would require, now the landlord also gets a notice. And it is explained. This is all explained to the tenants and the landlord how this process works. So the very first time this happens, there's really no excuse the second and third time, because you've been, even if you're not listening to this podcast or you had no idea this what was going on, the officer will explain it to you there. This is a very good bill. It's a very good legislation. It's a good law, and this is your best tool to clean up your neighborhood and keep your neighborhood safe, crime-free in many of the cases too. But your quality of life will be so much better if you take advantage of our DCR program.
Councilwoman Affa, I can't thank you enough for being here with us today. In closing, can you briefly talk about the DCR board and what that entails and how it helps address issues of violation of the quality of life noise?
Yes, it's the DCR board. I believe there's 7 of us.
Yes.
The chief is on it. Council's on it. We have citizens on it. Public Works, Director of DCR.
Community Economic Development.
Yeah, development. And that board is, at any time that they will explain, when you get this report, you have the right to appeal. Now, this is the DCR Appeals Board, and we sit, when you come to the appeal, come to City Hall, and request an appeal, the officer will be there to testify on what he heard and why he gave this particular ticket. Then you have the opportunity to explain what happened. We listen to it, and then we are actually the judges to judge if we're going to uphold it or, go for the appeal.
Well, thank you very much for that. And if somebody needs to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
You could call City Hall at any time. Our city clerk, Deputy Clerk, Tawana Whitehead, will take the call, and she will call us, and then we will call you back. She will not give our phone numbers out. Although there are times in the neighborhood when I go to different neighborhoods that are having problems, I will give my phone number personally out to constituents. But most of the time, you just call the city council office, and they'll reach out to us, and we'll get back to you.
So just to recap, this was Councilwoman Candida Affa talking to us about the Disruptive Conduct Report, the process, why it was created, a little bit of history on it, and where we're heading in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this job is not done alone. As you can see, the city is collaborating to make sure that we're keeping your interests at heart and we're creating a good quality of life for all our residents, regardless of the situation. Thank you again, Councilwoman Affa. A pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you, Chief. It's a pleasure to be here.